Journalists Association demands immediate dismissal of Ghana National Fire Services Public Relations Officer DO2 Desmond Aka and officers involved in the alleged assault of a class media group journalist, condemning the attack as barbaric and an affront to press freedom.
We also saw the viral video where the journalists and some civilians were being attacked callously with helmets. This attack is not only an assault on an individual journalist, but a direct attack on media freedom.
The GJ is also sounding the alarm ahead of the MPP presidential primaries on January 31 with a clear message to the party's leadership to protect journalists covering the event from assaults.
Party leadership must demonstrate responsibility by making it unequivocally clear that attacks on journalists will not be tolerated.
We have details of all of this here on Top Story, brought to you always by Telecel, Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray, and Coil Enjoy Holy Sleep, and also by Shield Pension Trust. Into the future with you. Tonight, the Ghana Journalists Association is demanding the immediate dismissal of the Ghana National Fire Service Public Relations Officer Raymond Aka, citing unprofessional conduct in response to the alleged assault on a class media group journalist. GJ President Albert Kwabena Jumfo also wants the fire service to sack the perpetrators of the assault. The incident occurred while the journalist Samuel Adu was covering a fire outbreak at the Kaswa New Market. He's accused the fire service officers of physically manhandling him and seizing his phone. The service has actually gone ahead to, confirm that his phone was seized. The service has also launched an investigation into the matter. But Desmond Aka's response has sparked an outrage with public calls for his dismissal. The response by Desmond Aka is what is leading to this particular dismissal, or calls for a dismissal. Today, GJ President Albert Kwabena Jumfo described the incident as disturbing and called for the immediate arrest and prosecution of all perpetrators as well.
While the GJ entered this year with hope and prayers for an attack-free year, journalist, it is deeply disappointing and upsetting that the first reported assault against a journalist in the year 2026, in the year of our Lord 2026, has allegedly been perpetrated by men in uniform. This time around, not from our usual suspects, our men and women in black, all the military officers. I must say that the Ghana police has repented. They've repented to the extent that they are no more attacking journalists. And now the wheels of attack has been shifted over to the Ghana National Fire Service. So this time, the attack has allegedly been perpetrated by men in uniform, and this time from the Ghana National Fire Service. It has moved from the military to the police, now the Ghana National Fire Service. This development is disturbing and intolerable. The Ghana Journalists Association condemns in the strongest possible terms the brutal, unlawful and reprehensible attack on Class FM journalist Mr. Samuel Adu, allegedly perpetrated by personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service during a fire outbreak at the Kaswa Market in the Central Region on Sunday, January 4, 2026. Mr. Adu was lawfully carrying out his professional duties, reporting on the incident which is of major public interest, when he was reportedly assaulted by officers who should have known better. We also saw the viral video where the journalists and some civilians were being attacked callously with helmets. This attack is not only an assault on an individual journalist, but a direct attack on media freedom.
Well, Albert Kovana Jumfor also demanded a public apology from Chief Fire Officer Daniela Mausi into Sapon to journalists and also the journalists involved, and called for the identification and sanctioning of the officers involved in this very heinous crime.
On one leg, they said that they are here to identify the officers. On that leg, they said the officers did not assault the journalist, and that they only took his phone. So which is which? You are here to identify that they are your members, they are officers. Yet you said that they did not assault. So which people? The people who are not your members did not assault journalists or your members or the officers. We don't get it. And on another leg, what he even said was that of the safety of journalists and properties on site when they go to the grounds, they have boundaries. They need to always protect their security zone. Colleagues, I want to state this on record that the Ghana media or the media all over the world is a public interest media, and public interest media do not need any permission or authorization to discharge our duty. It is rather unfortunate that the security service, who should know better and whose responsibility is to protect and provide security for journalists to discharge its work, are rather obstructing journalists and attacking journalists. He said they've set up a committee in their statement. How can you set up a committee when you have not identified the people to be your officers? The GJ demands that the leadership of the Ghana National Fire Service, led by the Chief Fire Officer Daniela Mausi Into Sapon, publicly condemns this assault, identify the officers involved, and apply severe internal sanctions, including dismissal where appropriate.
Oh, my colleague Fatau Bayaga was at this news conference by the Ghana Journalists Association and joins me in studio with more. Fatau, we understand the GJ president also spoke strongly about the public relations officer of the fire service and the responses he's giving so far on this particular matter. What exactly did he say?
He described the manner in which the Public Relations Office of the Ghana National Fire Service, due to Desmond Aka, handled communication on the incident as unprofessional, saying his narrative was riddled with several contradictions. He further stated that attempts by the leadership of the GJ to engage him were met with disrespect, accusing the officer of ignorantly and rudely defending what he described as unlawful act. As a result, the association is demanding his immediate dismissal. Let's take a listen.
He also called for the immediate dismissal or removal of the PRO of the Ghana National Fire Service from the position, because our interaction with him on the case shows that he is unfit to be in charge of communication for that unit. He has demonstrated unprofessionalism. He has demonstrated incompetence. He has contradicted himself so much that I don't think that the media will lead. I will urge the media to ever deal with him. We are serving this notice so that swift action will be taken immediately. In the worst case scenario, it can be seconded or interdicted. We don't want him there. We cannot do. Our people cannot have interface, cannot communicate or have any working relationship with such a person. So if the fire service, the Ghana National Fire Service, wants to really have a very good working relationship with the media, they should find somebody who is professional, who has the competencies, who has the capacity and temperature to accommodate the media. We cannot accommodate that PRO. At the right time, we are going to address a whole press conference on him.
Quite a straightforward demand there by the president of the GJA. What else did he say?
So he also expressed grave concern over alleged threats against freelance journalist Joseph Akrofi Okante, a former Eagle FM staff member. So he alleged that the threats were issued by the Member of Parliament for the Sege constituency, Daniel Kashibasi, and some party executives in the constituency following a Facebook post by the journalist over an alleged disparity in the allocation of slots in the area. He described the situation as reprehensible and criminal. Let's take a listen to him.
Colleagues, the GJA also condemns in the strongest and most unequivocal terms the alleged threats, intimidation, and verbal abuse of Mr. Joseph Akrofi Okansi, a freelance journalist formerly of Eagle FM, by the Member of Parliament for the Sege constituency, Honorable Daniel Keshi Bese, and the Sege constituency NDC Communications Officer, Mr. Freeman Ejueji. This incident, which followed a Facebook post by the journalist calling for accountability from the MP on how he distributed slots allocated to the Sege constituency for the placement of the youth in the security services, particularly constitute a grave assault on press freedom and a deliberate attempt to silence a journalist for exercising his constitutional duty. When the journalist made the post, the youth organizer and the communications officer for the area called him on phone while the MP was on the line, where they all abused him verbally for posting on social media, demanding accountability without engaging them. According to the journalist, former complaint to the GJA, the MP allegedly issued direct life-threatening threat. That is after he had complained, he has made a formal complaint to the GJA. The MP allegedly issued direct life-threatening threats, including a chilling statement about mobilizing funds to organize the funeral of the journalist and his parents. These allegations are reckless, reprehensible, and criminal. This is a threat of life. The GJA personally petitioned the Inspector General of Police, petitioned the Speaker of Parliament, and was sure that this unparliamentary comment made by a dishonorable member will face or see the full rigors of the law. We're sure that he will be brought to book. The GJA notes with great concern that this incident is not isolated. Since 2022, we have recorded at least 8 cases of attacks on journalists in Ada.
So that was the GJA president there. So now he is talking about other matters involving journalists. We know that the MPP will be having the presidential primaries on 31st of January.
Exactly.
What did he say anything about that too?
Yes, he said that he is issuing a firm warning to the MPP ahead of this very crucial election. He said that the leadership of the party should ensure that its supporters refrain from attacks on journalists during the primaries.
The GJA issues a firm warning to the leadership of the New Patriotic Party to clearly caution and restrain its supporters ahead of the upcoming flag bearership contest. Political competition must never be used as an excuse to harass, intimidate, or attack journalists. Party leadership must demonstrate responsibility by making it unequivocally clear that attacks on journalists will not be tolerated. Call for responsible and ethical journalism. The GJA urges journalists to remain committed to responsible, accurate, and development-oriented journalism. Journalists must prioritize the public interest, promote national development, and contribute to social cohesion through fair, balanced, and factual reporting.
This is Top Story brought to you always by Telecel Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy Holy Sleep, and also by Short Pension Trust into the future with you. Now, let's bring in the General Secretary of the GJA, Dominic Uroji, who's joining us on the lines with more on this ongoing development. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us. Now, beyond the calls for dismissal of the fire service spokesperson, in the past, you've petitioned the IGP. Are you considering an option to petition the IGP to look into the matter of investigating the perpetrator of this assault?
Exactly. That was stated in our press conference that we'll be engaging the IGP to work on the issue to swiftly handle the attack case for us. because the case has been reported to the police in the central region, that is the Kaswa police station, New Market police station. And so we expect that the IGP would call his men to work on the case as quickly as possible for us to get closure to this very heavy and disappointing development in the new year. So we will be engaging the IGP in terms of petitioning, sending our concerns to him, and then also encourage or urge him on to work on this case for us.
There have been several cases of assault on journalists that have not been resolved as of yet. How is this one gone? How would the strategy be in this one to ensure that we get indeed closure to this particular matter?
Okay, so the fact of the matter is that the Ghana Journalists Association is not a law enforcement agency.
Fact.
And you can only work through the law enforcement agencies to get justice done. And so all we have to do is to engage and so also do a lot of advocacy and then follow up on the issues. We have in the past done other things that did not yield the result that we wanted. This time around, we want to do a lot more engagement. If you recall, in the last year, we had a lot of engagement with the security agencies, and that has led to some level of reduction in the attacks getting towards the end of the year, because the IGP has given us assurance that he would work to protect the interest of journalists across the country. And so we are so much happy that things were going down, and our prayer for this year was that we will not have this attack happening. But the thing is that we've not had a situation where the fire service people were involved. Most of the cases, if you mention the security agencies that attack journalists, you talk about the military and the police. But this time around, for the fire service that we consider as not so aggressive people to be involved in this is so disturbing and worrying. So we'll continue to engage. Apart from the police administration that are supposed to work on this, we also want to further engage with the hierarchy, the leadership of the Ghana National Fire Service to get to the bottom of this, because the posturing from their end isn't good, isn't something that we appreciate. So we want to engage them so that we'll get closure, we'll get justice for our colleague who was attacked at the fire scene at the Kasua area.
The association is calling for the removal of the PRO or the fire service. If that call is not heeded to, is the engagement the next line of action, or there's a different action that you will take?
So if that call is not heeded to, we will advise ourselves. Already the president of the GJ has told journalists to take a stand against the PRO, and we will consider issuing a statement or getting to the media houses to disassociate themselves or not work with the PRO, because based on our engagement with him, we consider him as someone who should not be the one championing media relations with the fire service or with the fire service, because what he is doing, the work is that he is supposed to deal with the public, and you cannot deal with the public when you don't have, when you don't deal with the media. That is the intermediary between the public and the Ghana Fire Service. And so for you to have that posturing, for you to demonstrate that you don't have what it takes to handle media relations and communication for the Ghana Fire Service, we consider it, we believe that it will be appropriate for the Ghana Fire Service, Ghana National Fire Service, to relieve him of his position or remove him from that and get someone who is more competent to handle that position. And so we believe that the media should also take this. At the tail end of our presser, we said that anytime a journalist is attacked, we all need to solidarize. And in solidarity, you don't say that it's because maybe this has not happened in my media house, so you will not take action. You take action because tomorrow it can be you. So we want all journalists to work with the GGA, to collaborate with the GGA to ensure that the actions we want the law enforcement agencies and the authorities to take should be different enough to serve as lessons for people who harbor the idea of attacking journalists.
In the past, you've used blackout. Are we blacking out him specifically?
Yes,
or
so that is what we mean by encouraging journalists not to work with him. So we are praying that the leadership of the Ghana National Fire Service will hit to this and get someone who will be able to work with the media and, for that matter, the public, so that their communication with the public will be disseminated by us. But if they don't do that, we'll go further to push for for our people not to deal with him.
I'm grateful to you for joining us here, Mr. Hology, Dominic Hology, AST, GJ General Secretary. We're joined now by a former Chief Fire Officer, Dr. Albert Brown Gyasi. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining. Now, in the wake of this scenario, what just happened to our colleague journalist at Class FM, what is the possible disciplinary action that a fire service may institute?
Well, thank you very much for having me. Under normal circumstances, when such incident occurred, the police is informed on the scene and they follow due process of handling this issue if it's criminally related. And based on that, the investigation report is formally submitted to the management of the fire service and they take up the issue from there. That is if the police is involved. But if the police is not involved, what normally happens is that the institution, after receiving official report, forms a committee, internal committee, where if after investigation and prima facie it is established, then appropriate the LIs or disciplinary code is also enforced. The committee will have to submit its report to the management, who may also intend from the regimental structure of the fire service. The chief officer will have to forward it to the council, the fire service council, for appropriate decision to be taken, where maybe if interdiction or suspension or whatever it is will have to be done. So I'm relating this to two scenarios, that in terms of when a report is submitted to the police and we await criminal investigation from the police, and the other aspect is when it is informed, the institution is informed, due process is also taken. So these are the two scenarios I'm looking at within this context. Okay. So the Fire Service Council has the right to take a final decision on the matter per the regimental procedures as outlined or as enshrined in the LIs that governs or that establishes the fire service. So that is one aspect of it.
And what sanctions are likely to be applied if the officers are found culpable?
Well, it depends on the magnitude of the offense and the investigations conducted thereon. If investigations are conducted and it is established that it is criminally minded, it is criminally intended, that has its own procedure.
Dr. Sorry, but have you watched the video? Have you seen
yes,
one?
I have. But you see, under normal circumstances, those are circumstantial information received or circumstantial observations received. That is why investigation has to be conducted. I wouldn't like to jump the gun by saying that this should be this should be that. Definitely, investigations should be conducted either by the police or by the fire service. Yep. So I don't want to rush into that. Okay. When it's established and appropriate action has to be taken, that is where appropriate disciplinary measures are taken.
So let's assume we saw in the video what happened. Let's say the police establishes that these officers erred and in fact did what they did. What could be the likely sanctions?
No, but the fact that you wear uniform doesn't mean you above the law. I mean, the police criminally has a procedure they follow. Matters are sent to court and action is taken. Likewise, after action is taken, the consequential effect by the fire service also can also be taken. So let's look at these two aspects of it. Police will follow their due process. A report is established that the person did commit such an offense. The fire service has also internal disciplinary mechanism that must be also applied.
Does it include demotions?
All aspects. I mean, the regulation, it's just because I've left a little while, I cannot indicate, but demotion is part of it, suspension is part, interdiction is part of it, outright dismissal is part of it. Demotion is a reduction in rank, as we always say. It stipulates appropriate prescribed mechanisms that must be enforced.
Now, in the wake of all of this backlash as a result of what happened, especially the call on the PRO of the service to be relieved of his duty, what would be your recommendation to the service itself in terms of how it carries itself beyond this happening?
Actually, we need to look at it from several angles. When you talk of the operational aspect of the job in terms of operational response, operational plan, the standard operational instructions, standard operational procedures, these are issues that have to be dealt with. In other places that some of us have had the opportunity of being trained, they have what we call unified response teams. Anytime there is fire outbreak involving a commercial center, story buildings, depending on the nature of fire, the police has to go with the fire service, and the fire service needs to be accompanied by the ambulance. They respond together. So when they get there, the police will provide security. Fire service, that is the outer cordon. Outer cordon is done by the police. Inner cordon is done by the appropriate lead agency. That is the fire service engaging the operational response. Then the ambulance will be on standby. So on such incidents, we have the staging area and the command area. The staging area is where these equipment and the rest are kept for response. Command area is where the incident commander and his people are. And they have a special area where maybe the media is also organized for briefing. And the briefing is done by the PRO of the service. You see? But in a situation where people want to get to the scene and they want to be part of the operational response, the operational action, definitely such pandemonium will create a problem. You see, so we need to structure a way of unified response in this country. Anytime there is a serious fire outbreak involving a certain number of multiple pumps, that is where the police quickly must have to go and provide security for the institution that is responsible for the operational response. An ambulance will stand by, and there are other situations where you maybe have the NIB or the National Security or whatever it is undercover also seeking some other information. My time, these things were there. They were common established regimental protocols. Because you see, the problem is that most of these markets, apart from the fact that we claim or we suspect that they may be electricals, some of them are arson. My 30 years experience over tells me they are arson. The reason is that they boggle the market. The criminals boggle the market, and after that, they set the place ablaze. And definitely, they will put impediments. Once you are fighting the fire, they will always put impediments in your operational response.
Okay.
So they will have access of stealing at the market grounds. These are things that normally happens.
Okay.
So most of these market fires don't happen for nothing.
All right.
That is why it's always important that there should be a unified command responses, towards these things. And moreover, too, the protocols, the operational protocols, is that they should have to use either guidelines or guidelines. Immediately such things occur, you protect the area, you cordon off the area with appropriate color code guideline, so that this area is protected from public intrusion or from media intrusion or from external intrusion. So that immediately that happens, you cannot break the protocol of entering the hot zone. You see, we have a hot zone and the cool zone. The hot zone is the inner perimeter where the action is taking place, and the cool zone is where of the hot zone. You see, so media and the rest, normally when they get there, I mean, you cannot say that the media will go straight to the front of the wall where guns are firing, exchange of bullets and the rest, and the media man has no gun to protect himself or herself. We need to look at that scenario. Okay. So the most important thing is that anybody in future, any media personnel who wants to get to the fire ground must seek clearance from either the PRO of the service, so that after the fire, you can, from a startup point of view, cover.
I'm grateful to you, Dr. Albert Brown Gyasi. He is a former chief fire officer. This has been a top story brought to you by Telecel, holding insecticide spray and coil, and also by Short Pension Trust. Up next is Newsnight.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. This is News 9. We're live from our studios here at Kokomlemele, also on our affiliates across the country. Well, tonight, fuel prices are dipping, but transport fares remain sky high. We'll hear from some commuters crying out for commercial transport operators to slash fares and ease the burden on households.
Once fuel has been brought low, transport must come low. Even the cost of food, everything must be affected. The way it affects it when it raises, so must it affect it down when it comes down.
But the Ghana Private Road Transport Union says it is unrealistic to expect any cuts in transport fares.
The Association of Ghana are not planning any decrease of transport fares now.
Why?
Because we have 5 components that we use in determining the price increment or decrement. As I'm speaking with you, it is only fuel that is gaining downward trend.
Also had commuters face long waits, trek miles and sweat it out at bus terminals in Accra and Kumasi, with workers, students and traders bearing the brunt of scarce commercial vehicles.
About 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock,
since yesterday, people have not gotten buses. Some people came yesterday to try and go get a bus to school, but there was no bus, so they had to go back home.
And President Mahama says his government's crusade against illegal mining is beginning to yield results, with some water bodies starting to show signs of recovery.
We're implementing sustainable practices, protecting forests and water bodies, and investing in renewable energy and strengthening climate adaptation for vulnerable communities.
In business.
Well, the president has also been talking about the fact that the current program with the IMF should be the last, following significant progress made on stabilizing the economy.
And coming up in sports,
former GFA President Kwesi Nyantakyi reveals that he was set to become CAF president prior to his 2018 exit.
And a bit later, in a historic move, Asantehene Otunfo said to do the second pays a landmark visit to the Inspector General of Police, commending officers for their unwavering service to the nation, often in challenging conditions.
But it is fair to say that through it all, the service has maintained a level of commitment and professionalism we should be proud of. Whenever and wherever you have been called upon to undertake international duties, you have acquitted yourselves with full credit.
We got details as he also charged the IGP to redeem the integrity of the police and win back public trust.
As we embark on this journey together, we will urge you, IGP, and your devoted colleagues to seriously tackle issues affecting police integrity and public trust. It may well be necessary to reinforce or upskill the values you include in your men, so they are left in no doubt.
The latest of these and many other stories are coming up in the next 60 minutes. You can also be a part of this show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi, details after this.
Auntie T, I beg, fix me go betete Ghana. No gari, no oil, no plantain, just beans then eggs.
Hey, brah, that be dangerous combination, no?
Problem no day. I feel handle am.
For Telecel, we the Bob say everybody gets what they like. That be why Made For Me bundles day. Based on your usage, you fit get your own data and call packages. Fala! Made For Me bundles like the way you the want town. That *530#, then buy Made For Me bundles today.
Telecel, connecting energies.
No matter where we are, Africa always calls us home. And here in Ghana, the call is clear: to power growth and create lasting impact. At Stanbic Corporate and Investment Banking, we are creating giants and connecting businesses. From financing bold energy projects to enabling cleaner, reliable power for industries, we are fueling Ghana's transformation. With our support, Gensa Energy is delivering sustainable energy that powers Goldfields operations, helping them move closer to cleaner, greener mining. This is a story of how we bring businesses together, create jobs, empower communities, and invest in the next generation. Stanbic Bank, delivering sustainable growth, creating impact. To learn more, visit stanbicbank.com.gh.
Hello again. Let's begin tonight's broadcast on transport because commuters are ramping up pressure on private commercial transport operators to reduce fares following continuous reduction in fuel prices at the pump. Petrol is now selling at 10.99 cedis or less thanks to the city's strong performance and drop in oil prices on the world market. But commuters are feeling the pinch. They're asking transport operators to slash transport fares to ease economic pressure on households.
But one thing about Ghanaian is when government reduces their fuel price, they normally don't reduce the price of goods and services. When they are increasing the fuel, they quickly jump to it and increase their goods and stuff.
But if something can be done about the reduction of the prices, it should just come down a bit. And I think we'll all be okay with it.
Once fuel has been brought low, transport must come low. Even the cost of food, everything must be affected. The way it affects it when it raises, so must it affect it down when it comes down, everything. Like the market women who carry stuff from the hinterland, it's transport they talk about. That's why they come and increase prices here.
If there is a reduction, we need to accept that because each and everyone will benefit after it. But if there is a reduction, we don't accept it. How is the opposite or the other one? So if there is a reduction, then we need to consider that there is an increment. It should be on the note that there is not going to be a problem to each and every one of us.
Those are the voices of some frustrated commuters. But the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, is rejecting these calls, describing them as unrealistic. According to the union, spare parts prices continue to be on the high, as well as other factors which affect the prices of fuel. Samuel Amwa is the deputy PRO of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union.
We have been seeing some reductions on petroleum products, and it's clear. And someone will ask why, drivers are not reducing their transport fares. For the past year, and that was the beginning of 2025, drivers started complaining about, by then the fuel prices were high. During around June, April thereabout, we were asked to reduce our transport fares by 15%. This reduction came by the reduction of petroleum products. We were looking forward for the other component, that like the spare parts, the lubricant, and the taxes to also come down. But they couldn't do that. We complained, and the promise we gave the public was that in as much as spare parts are high and fuel is not the only component we use, we are trying as hard as we can to to hold on with our current transport fares so that we can actually end the year without
Well, another transport union, the Concerned Drivers Association, is also rejecting calls to reduce prices. David Aguado speaks for the group.
The Drivers Association of Ghana are not planning any decrease of transport fare now.
Why?
Because we have 5 components that we use in determining the price increment or decrement. As I'm speaking with you, it is only fuel that is gaining downward trend, and then that of the inflation is gaining downward trend. But the rest 3 are upgoing. The lubricant, the price is not coming up, but the price remains at where it is. But as I'm talking with you, the spare parts are skyrocketing. I heard you were saying spare parts dealers say they have reduced price of spare parts. It is not true that they have reduced the price of spare parts. At the last time, if I recall, when we meet with them at the minister's office, the trade minister's office, they told us it is only SUV and then that of Land Cruisers that they have reduced their prices.
All right, so you heard that David Agbado, who speaks for the Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana. Let's come back to the studio and get some understanding of how steep the decline in fuel prices have been since the last few months. Caleb Ziblim of our research desk is joining me in studio with some more. Caleb, paint a picture of the decline in fuel prices. What's really the percentage and how sustained has it been over the last few months?
Yes, Ken. So let's go back for a year. So if you look at the beginning of 2025, fuel started trading around 15 cities, 90 pesos for diesel, and 15 cities, 80 pesos for petrol or super. That's at the beginning of 2025. Then the year ended at 11 cities, 99 pesos for diesel, for super, and little above 12 cities for diesel. So we've seen a drop from cities down to 11 cities for 2025. Then in 2026, we are seeing another drop. That's from 11 cities now to 10 cities. Currently 10 cities, 99 pesos. So there's been a deep nosedive from 15 cities. And if you put a trend, do a trend line, you see that it's going very down, very steep indeed. And then the momentum doesn't seem to be dying anytime soon. Because if you look at the external side, crude oil prices are still subdued, about $60 a barrel. And then if you look at the performance of the city, and these are the two main factors that influence the price of petrol at the pumps: the price of the crude oil in the market and the performance of the Ghanaian cedi. These two things are doing very well, and the projection is that going forward they will remain doing very well, and fuel prices again will fall moving forward.
Caleb Ziblim, thank you very much. Let's go onto the telephone lines right now and speak to Samuel Amwa, who's the deputy spokesperson of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. Duncan Amwa is also the executive secretary of the Chamber of Oil Consumers. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this evening. Let me begin with you, Samuel. Within the last 1 year, fuel prices have gone down in Ghana by about 50%. Why do you still insist, your association, that you're not going to reduce the fares prices?
Thank you very much for having me on the show. Let me take this opportunity to say good evening to you and your listeners. Yes, we said that the fuel price has come down a little bit.
Samuel, if you can kindly reposition yourself well.
We said earlier, fuel price is not the only component we use to run our businesses. We also use spare parts, we use lubricants, we use taxes, we pay taxes. So we complained that even last year, way back last year, even when we were asked to reduce our fares 15%, we did. But the complaint was that the spare parts was still the same. As I'm speaking to you, late last year, we had an engagement with the spare parts dealers. They made us understood that some of the parts has reduced, but to most of the vehicles we used to, serve the public, that is the Toyota buses, the Sprinter buses, and Nissan buses, those ones, they found it difficult to get them. That is why they have not been able to reduce those ones. So we met them earlier before the national officers went on Christmas recess, of which we are that will be next week on the 12th, for us to sit down, check on how much percentage has been reduced on the petroleum product. Then we also check that of the spare parts and other things. They also promised that they are trying to do something about those vehicles that we are using in the past, for them to also work on it, for us to some reduction on it. Then we also know what to do as to if it has gotten to the point where we can also reduce our transport and our others are going to be affected.
Is that to say that you are in the consideration stage as to whether to reduce the fares?
Yes, I used to say that we are not normally happy with transport fares going up, because the transport fares are high. Most of the passengers that normally join vehicles for shorter distances, they prefer walking. So when it happens like that, we lose, clients. And if the prices are down or the fares are down, it attracts more passengers to come to our various stations. It's a business that we are running. So we have to make sure that, we serve the passengers, and we, the transporters, also have to make sure that whatever we earn, we can also save spare our vehicles and all other things. So if when any time or when we see any reduction on the petroleum product and we say we are coming up transport fare reduction, and we don't consider the other things, it may happen that going forward, even vehicles will break down and we will not have money to repair them back.
But Samuel, the concerns really have been that if the prices of petroleum products go up, take you too long to increase your fares, and for more than a year we've seen a 50% decline. Although you've mentioned that petrol or fuel prices are not the only things that you consider into reducing your fares, but they are a major factor. So don't you think that the commuters are actually right in demanding that at least you reduce the fares now that we've seen substantial reduction in fuel prices? And from what my colleague told me, we are going to or likely to see further reduction.
Sure. Yes, as you are saying, you are 100% right. It's not like any time you see an increment of petroleum product, then we just come up and increase our transport fares. We have a percentage threshold. If you follow our communication, or if you follow GPRQ, there are times where you see other transport unions coming up with increments. The GPRQ will quickly call them and instruct them not to increase transport fares, because we have not gotten to where there has to be an increment. Way back in April, when we were reducing the transport fare by 15%, by then the fuel prices dropped to 18%. That is when we were called for this reduction. Even by then, we didn't even consider that of the spare parts and other components. So this time around, we're checking on the percentage threshold right now. Yes, it's up to where it calls for a reduction.
Okay.
But when we consider the other components, you see, when like maybe the fuel price has reduced about 10%, our point is it should be at a 10% threshold. Then we also check that of the other component before we get a specific percentage that will call for either increment or reduction.
But Samuel, you've admitted that it has met the threshold for reduction. The other components that you say are spare parts and other things, you say that there's not been any movement at all. It hasn't gone down or up. Is that not fair? To at least say that we're going to reduce that?
Yes. The way you are saying, the part, there has never been any reduction on spares. I stated earlier that when we had a meet with the Abosokan Spare Parts Dealers Association and then the Trade Ministry, they brought up some list. There's some list of items that has been reduced.
Right.
And
you made that
none of our parts, was part of them. Those vehicles were SUV, those private, cars, V8 vehicles, and all that. Told them that we are using Sprinter buses, we are using Toyota buses, we are using Nissan buses, and those ones, if you say you have reduced your parts, and those parts has not been reduced, we don't use those vehicles to run our business. Then it means that what we are saying is right. So that was when they also came up that those ones are very difficult to get at outside market. That is why up to date they have not been able to reduce those ones. Even if I'm speaking to you, when the leadership of GPRQ returned back from the Christmas recess, we are having them making sure that those promises they did, and they are also working on them for them to also come up with a little reduction, so that we also see how we also come up with, if we have to reduce, how much percentage we have to do. GPRQ, we don't just wake up one day and we come up with an increment or reduction. There is a survey that we do. We have a team that goes out there to make sure that where was this and where it is now. Right. How much was this and how much it is now. Then they'll put everything together. The leadership will sit down. Then they'll come up with whatever they want to come up with. Then we'll meet the transport ministry like we did way back in April when we had the 15%.
Right, Samuel Amwa, thank you very much. That's the deputy spokesperson for the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. Let me bring in Duncan Amwa, who's the executive secretary of the Chamber of Oil Consumers. Duncan, grateful for your time this evening. We've been seeing, a sharp decline in the prices of fuel. Are the calls legitimate from commuters demanding for a reduction in fares?
Let me say good evening to you again and to your listeners. Indeed, I think that the oil marketing companies have been extremely fair to all of us. You woke up today, gold has done over 1 Ghana cedi, 50 peso adjustment downwards. Star Oil has responded adequately. Total has also gone down same day. Other OMCs are clearly adjusting prices. These numbers count for something. And I think that if you have a situation where you buy 40 or 50 liters a day and you are saving about 50 cedis a day, you cannot say that it is not worth anything, and so you cannot even discuss transport fare reduction. I think that we would allow them the benefit of this week to still monitor the pumps. But whatever happens, first thing next week, we would want to convey a meeting with the transport operators and insist that they do some slashes, because like you rightly requested, if you get to a point where fuel prices should go up by the numbers that I just put out earlier, the same operators will be requesting for adjustments upwards. And so the excuse of lubricants, the excuse of parts could be excused at this point. But the people that we need to probably focus a lot more on, even at this point, would have to be the online transport operators. You are dealing with the Uber, Yango, Bolt folks. Often when we put pressure on the likes of GPRTU and concerned drivers to reduce their prices, the online guys would, go under, and we don't even talk about them.
Right.
And so whatever happens at this point, I think that year on year, we did some statement shortly that tells you between January 2025 and January 2026, there's been almost a 40% drop as far as the fuel price levels is concerned. And so the excuses at this point, I don't think would wash. They should do whatever they can, give the relief that consumers should deserve at this point, because clearly one of the key variables of their operations, which is fuel, has clearly declined significantly.
Duncan Amo, thank you very much. That's the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Oil Consumers. And as the festive season dust settles, across transport chaos is back where commuters are now facing a harsh reality. Long queues, exorbitant fares, and missed appointments, where passengers are waiting hours at major terminals like Circle and Medina Zongo Junction, only to be hit with arbitrary fare hikes by drivers cashing in on the demand. Or students and workers are struggling to reach their destinations on time, raising concerns about transport reliability. Michelle Latte and Mavis Kabuko report.
Accra's transport system is feeling the heat. The post-festive season rush has led to a severe shortage of commercial vehicles, leaving many passengers stranded and frustrated. Long queues at bus terminals, exorbitant fares, and endless waiting times are now the new normal. Transport operators blame the reopening of schools for the pressure on the system. GPRTU Secretary for the Kanishi to Cape Coast Station, Francis Ama, acknowledges the challenge.
The festive season brought in a lot of people in the capital, and many of them are traveling back. Unfortunately, school reopened at the same time, so the situation we are seeing today is due to the clash between school reopening and post-festive travel. When a bus comes, we allow the students to board. Some of our buses are undergoing maintenance and can't hit the road.
The situation is taking a toll on daily life, with students, workers, and traders bearing the brunt. Some have resorted to walking long distances or waiting for hours at bus terminals.
2 o'clock. 2 o'clock,
I came here at 2 o'clock yesterday, but we stayed for hours without getting a bus. The problem is, conductors don't follow the queue when selling tickets. They sell to anyone without considering those of us who have been waiting. I stood here from 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. I got tired and I left. I'm back again today, and still I can't get a bus.
The buses which are currently present are spoiled, so we have to wait for the buses which have gone to Takoradi to come back. And our school has a rule that by 6 or 7, the gates are locked, so we'll be stuck.
Yeah, we first went to where the small cars are, and we saw a long queue, so we decided to come here thinking this place will have big buses. It's very unfortunate.
Commuters are calling on the Transport Ministry to intervene and provide relief. For Joy News, Michelle Latte and Mavis Kabuko.
And in other stories this evening, President John Mahama says the fight against illegal mining is beginning to yield positive results, with some water bodies starting to clear up. He said that it has not been an easy fight. Speaking at the 77th Annual New Year School at the University of Ghana, he commended the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, the Anti-Illegal Mining Team, NIMOS, and other stakeholders for their efforts. He urged them not to give up, but to continue the fight strongly. We'll hear from him in a moment, but first, the keynote speaker, governance expert, and business management consultant Ishmael Yamson also addressed the subject, stating that no economy can survive when its environment is sacrificed for the greed of a select few.
The culture of impunity. Madam Chairperson, we want with horror as our pristine river bodies, the Pra, the Ankobra, the Birim, the Ofin, and many others, are turned into toxic mud by illegal mining. With this destruction, we see this destruction happening in broad daylight, often with the complicity of those who want to protect us. When a nation poisons its own water to feed the greed of a few, it is not just an environmental crisis, it is a spiritual collapse.
That's Ishmael Yamson there. Let's get onto the telephone lines right now and speak to our presidential affairs correspondent Maxwell Akbagba, who was at the program on the University of Ghana campus. For more, Maxwell, President Mahama says the fight against illegal mining is yielding results, with some water bodies showing signs of recovery. Tell us more. We're still trying to get Maxwell Akbagba, who's our presidential affairs correspondent, to tell us a bit more on that particular subject, where President John Dramani Mahama said that the fight against illegal mining is yielding results. And the president also revealed that materials for the construction of a 10,000-bed facility hostel for the University of Ghana have been shipped and will be in Ghana soon. Listen to him.
Today, most of our students have to live outside campus and travel to lectures every day. There have been a few unfortunate incidents where students have either been knocked down by vehicles and have died, or in a few cases been attacked by armed robbers and unfortunately lost their lives. It is preferable that we have as many of our students living on campus or as close to campus as possible. And that's why I was telling the Vice Chancellor a little good news. When I went to Singapore, we signed an agreement for a 10,000 student hostel in the University of Ghana. And this is going to be a prefabricated building. It means that the building will be manufactured somewhere and will come and be assembled on campus. And so the machines for the factory that would manufacture the building and come to assemble it on campus has been shipped from Singapore and is on its way to Accra.
All right, that's President John Dramani Mahama there. Well, he also noted that the recent traffic congestion on the Kumasi-Accra highway caused by church activities points to the urgent need for the new expressway.
And one of the iconic projects under our big push is going to be the Accra-Kumasi Expressway. And for those who have spoken against this expressway, I wish that they were in the traffic jam over the new year when one single church holding a convention brought the Accra-Kumasi road into gridlock for more than 7 hours. Accra is the biggest city in Ghana and the capital. Kumasi is the next biggest city in Ghana. And the traffic between these two cities, it's a shame that we have a single lane road linking our two major cities. This will be a thing of the past, and I'm looking forward to cutting sword. I'm looking forward to cutting sword early this year for the commencement of construction of the Accra-Kumasi Expressway. Early this year too, I will inaugurate the task force that will begin the demarcation and design of the Green Digital City. This is a city that will straddle 3 regions, Greater Accra, Eastern and Volta region, and it will move some of the government offices and key institutions out of Accra into a new city. This will help to decongest the capital, Accra.
That was President John Dramani Mahama, the University of Ghana campus, earlier today. And of course, he's been making a lot of comments, and key amongst them was the fight against illegal mining, which he says there has been progress. But let's find out really if the CSOs are convinced. Let's go into the telephone lines right now and speak to convener for the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, Ken Ashigbe. Mr. Ashigbe, grateful for your time this evening. President John Dramani Mahama says there's been progress since he took office in the fight against illegal. Agree with him?
Well, I think we need to state that in terms of the appetite to fight, we've seen some positive signals from His Excellency the President. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources has also been very decisive in the fight. One of the things you need to credit him with, when he became acting Minister for Environment, we've seen the repeal of the LI 2462 as well. We have seen the work that NIMOS is doing so far as the fight against Galamsey is concerned. The number of arrests that have been done, the number of busts that have been done. But you see, as the President tells us about the improvement, the thing to do is to be able to get empirical data. When the CSOs met up with His Excellency the President, it's one of the asks that we had, that Ghana Water, for example, should be publishing the turbidity of water as we have. And we need to also be monitoring issues around the forest, the recoveries, the destruction, the level of destructions that we're talking about. The coalition itself, we have done some work in terms of the turbidity of water. And, so if you take the Brain River at the source, at Apampam, for example, we got 11 NTUs, which was great. But Brain River at Bonsu, the same river, we're getting 16,800 NTUs. So there, in terms of the turbidity of the water, we will need to establish that, with empirical evidence, to be able to show that. Another challenge that we would definitely be asking His Excellency the President about, in 2024, His Excellency the President in October had mentioned that to deal with the issue of Galamsey, it's the kingpin. And so for us as a coalition, our question is, what is happening to the kingpin? There was a gentleman who was arrested in Ostino who was supposed to be a kingpin. He's been on bail. We're not too sure what's happening to that. The prosecutions of even a contaminant, we don't know how far that is going. If you take the Professor Frimpong Boateng report, it's replete with a lot of kingpins in there, not what's happening to them. The President himself had directed Attorney General to get the IOCO to do some investigations. We're not too sure what is happening to that. So the issues around prosecution, the issues around dealing with the kingpins is not being effective. We need to also concede that the issues around the responsible mining, that whole project, it's a good sign. What this current government has done seems to be an improvement of what the community mining scheme was, but there's still a lot of work that needs to go into that, and that needs to be pushed a lot more.
Right.
The issues even around NIMOS, when we met with His Excellency, one of the promises that was given was the fact that NIMOS was going to have permanent bases last year. That did not happen, so that's also outstanding. And for me, another important thing also is our MMDCs How is it that the DCs and the MCs are waiting for the Minister for Land to leave Accra, to send memos into their regions to be able to buffer? There are still communities where Galamsey is happening in plain sight, it's hidden in plain sight. So there's still a lot of work to be done.
Right.
But to be able to be conclusive about what the impact of this is, there are some data that we require. And I would ask the Ghana Water, because we're going to send an RTI to them, asking them to give us the data on the turbidity of water, not only the turbidity, but the quality of water. So the quality of water index. How safe are we with the waters that we're drinking? We should be asking that question.
Okay. Ken Ashigbe, thank you very much. That's the convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. And that brings us to business. And George Riafe is here with the latest. George, what have you got for us?
Well, coming up in business, President John Mahama hopes the current 17th program with the IMF will be the last, following significant progress made on stabilizing the economy. And consumers express excitement over more shopping outlets and malls implementing the revised VAT laws, which has resulted in some marginal reduction in prices of some goods and items. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials, Syntax Tanks, and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal.
Frida this crowd make we step out small. Bonya mood I said the carnival for town they start now.
Yeah, Mr. Desi, see my fiber they fire off. Download liquor, do streaming they go on. Gaming suit no buffering.
Okay.
If you bring your way, they more fiber.
Oh crowd, so you really no go come
pa. Frida you pa. Charlie for what? MTN unlimited fiber. Internet day here, make a promote.
This Broja, put your home on MTN Unlimited Fiber Internet and make the fun day right where you are. Fast speed, pure fiber, truly unlimited. Visit my MTN app to check fiber availability or to subscribe.
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Temania Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Fidelity Bank say save and win. Montio. Sikaboom. Just deposit and begin. Every 500 CDs you keep for a month, you get 1 point all at once. More deposits, gets more points in. More points, more cash you feel win. How many points? 1 point every 500 CDs. What if you win? 5,000 CDs monthly. And the grand prize? Hey! 100,000 Ghana CDs.
Don't
wait. Visit any Fidelity branch or agent nationwide to deposit in multiples of 500 CDs. The more you deposit, the better your chances to win 5,000 CDs monthly and 100,000 CDs in the grand draw. Terms and conditions apply. Win with us. Fidelity Bank, believe with us.
This is an NLA approved promo, now running on the Caritas Lottery platform.
At Star Oil, we believe fuel is not just a commodity, it is a lifeline. Every cedi saved at the pump is a cedi that helps a mother send her child to school, a farmer transports food to the market, or a young entrepreneur deliver their first order. Our mission is to make fuel more accessible by offering consistently competitive prices, helping ease the financial burden on Ghanaian households. In a country where transportation costs can consume nearly a third of household income, this is not just business. It's a social responsibility. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
For many years, we've been solving Ghana's water storage problems with quality tanks. Syntex tank. You know, it is strong, it's tough and reliable. And now, we're in to solve the #1 problem when it comes to water carriage: our pipes. With the state-of-the-art machinery, Syntex is providing very strong, tough, reliable, high quality and durable pipes at a reasonable price. This is Syntex Pipes. With Syntex Pipes, water flows wow. I mean, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. If they carry water, no wahala. With Syntex Pipe, our water problems are solved. Syntex, are you strong? Are you tough?
Brushing gets more fun with your kids with the new Pepsodent Kids toothpaste. Give your smiles protection that lasts. Grab yours today from a store near you. This advert is FDA approved.
You welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, President John Mahama has indicated that he hopes the current program with the IMF will be the last by the country in seeking financial assistance to stabilize the economy. Ghana is currently in the 17th Extended Credit Facility Program with the IMF, seeking to restore economic stability with some $3 billion in financial assistance. Speaking at the University of Ghana New Year School program, the president, however, noted that this will not mean total end to any relationship with the IMF.
Restoring fiscal discipline, rebuilding confidence in the financial sector, and supporting indigenous enterprises to grow. Economic resilience is not achieved through austerity alone, but through production, inclusion, and shared prosperity. As the keynote speaker said, the IMF program, the Extended Credit Facility Program with the IMF, has been very successful. We will emerge from the Extended Credit Facility with the IMF towards the middle of this year. And it is my hope that this will be the very last time we will ever go for a bailout from that international monetary institution. It must be the 17th and the last time that Ghana goes for a bailout from the IMF. We'll continue our collaboration with the IMF under Article 4 and other instruments that the IMF have. But it will definitely be the last time we go on our knees to beg for a bailout.
And that is President John Mahama. Now, consumers have expressed excitement over more shopping outlets and malls implementing the new value-added tax laws. Now, this has resulted in some marginal reduction in their shopping expenditure over the past few days. Some of these consumers have been speaking to Joy Business after the Ghana Revenue Authority visited some shops in the metropolis to ascertain issues on the ground.
Now we can recoup the levies, the 5%. And on behalf of the consumers too, we want to thank the commissioner, by extension the government, for that, because it brought more money into the pocket of the consumer. As I'm speaking, as an employee of Okadeco, I'm still a consumer, and we were able to seamlessly move the system to 20%. And I think your team can assess that.
Water switch
and then solar lights, so an outdoor solar light, yes. And we noticed that we no longer see COVID-19 levy charged here. And then we also see that the VAT has also reduced. I think it used to be 21%. Now we see 21.9, yes. Now we see 15%. And that's a significant reduction. And we are happy. At least we save some money for our pockets. So we are most grateful to the government. Thank you.
Usually our prices, as you can see, they are based on a price which is before VAT, then we add the VAT. So which means now everyone that is buying is saving that 1.9%.
And those are some consumers speaking to Joy Business after witnessing some price reductions in items bought as more shops comply with the new VAT laws. Now, Bank of Ghana says it wants to move diaspora remittances beyond consumption into long-term investment to support the country's economic growth. Speaking at the London Accra Economic Growth Summit, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, said that these new investment-focused instruments, such as diaspora bonds and collective investment scheme, could unlock funding for various sectors of the economy.
At the Bank of Ghana, we continue to strengthen payment systems and regulatory framework to ensure these flows remain efficient, they remain transparent, and are supportive of our forex market stability. The next phase of our policy focus and a central theme of this summit is to complement remittance inflows with structured investment-oriented instruments. This includes exploring opportunities such as diaspora bonds, collective investment schemes, and other capital market products that allow diaspora savings to be mobilized into productive sectors of the economy while offering transparent, well-regulated returns to investments.
And that is Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama. Now, workers in the mining sector are calling on government to urgently review the country's labor laws to better protect workers. Speaking to Joy Business on the expectations for the year, General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union, Abdul Mumin Bana, stressed that without deliberate reforms to the labor laws, efforts to improve working conditions will remain limited.
I've drummed up the issue of labor law and, for that matter, as a union, we have drummed up the issue of labor law and, for that matter, our legislation in this country. I mean, in other dispensations, nobody's going to take this temporary employment at all. And it all boils down to our labor laws. We have relatively weak labor legislation. So if you look at it contextually, from a legislation point of view, we have serious issues we are grappling with. Once the law is weak and gives opportunity for employers to do what they're doing, it becomes quite problematic. And so it's important that government tightens, working with the social actors, try and improve on the current state of the law so that we can guarantee greater employment protection for workers.
General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union, Abdul Mumin Bana. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Kenneth.
Well, thank you very much, George, for bringing us the latest in business. Sports is next, and Benaya is here. Benaya, what have you got for us?
Well, we're going to talk about the former Ghana Football Association president, that's Kwesi Nyantakyi. Now, he has revealed that he was positioned to become the president of the Confederations of African Football, or let me say Confederations of African Football, that's CAF, before leaving football administration in 2018. Now, speaking on Joy News earlier today, Nyantakyi said his role as first vice president of CAF at the time made him the most senior official after the president placing him firmly for the top job. Now, according to him, he said his exit meant Ghana lost a rare opportunity to produce a CAF president, though he also believes the door still remains open for others in the future. Yeah, so that was basically Nyantakyi. That's what he was saying. He was saying he had the opportunity to become the CAF president, but due to the ANAS expose, he wasn't able to get the opportunity to live that dream. So we can now take the sound.
And that was during Issa Hayatu's time. No. Hayatu left in 2016. So yours was whose time?
Ahmad from Madagascar.
He didn't last.
He left around 2019-20 thereabout.
So Ghana could have had a CAF president.
Possible. Maybe it's still possible.
Really? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. With the current regime of officers and the future, anybody who works hard has the potential to become CAF president.
But do you think about it that I could have been and I'm hurt by the
No.
family?
I'm not hurt by anything like that. Okay. Life goes on. There are many opportunities in life for every individual. I just went into football management by chance. I started as a lawyer. I worked in the bank for a long time. Then it just came my way, and I just stepped into it.
Yeah, so that's question Yantichi there. And before I wrap up, Kenneth, now Algeria, they are through to the quarterfinals of the Africa Cup of Nations after beating DR Congo 1-0, thanks to a 119th winner by Adil Bulbina. And they are going to meet Nigeria in the quarterfinals on Saturday in Marrakech. And yeah, come on, Algeria. They should do it. They should make us proud.
No. I think Nigeria. Is it Algeria?
Algeria versus Nigeria.
Oh, I'm supporting Nigeria, please.
Oh, come on. I'm supporting
They are
Algeria.
brothers.
But do you think you're going to be supporting us at the World Cup?
I mean, for rivalry's sake, they might not be, but
yeah. So for rivalry's sake,
we shouldn't reciprocate evil with evil. I'm supporting Nigeria.
All right, so that's it for sports.
Right. Thank you very much. And royalty met policing today at the National Police Headquarters in Accra, where His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Osei II paid a royal visit to the Inspector General of Police, Christian Teteyonu. Well, the act marks a historic event where any Asantehene has traveled to meet an IGP at the police headquarters. The visit featured a parade, official statements, and a behind-closed-door meeting between the two where high-level security matters were discussed. And my colleague James Aveji was at that event and is joining me in the studio for more. James, let's dive into the IGP's address where he gave the Otumfuo Asantehene Osei II some recommendations or some commendations on his role in significant peace mediations in recent times. Tell us more.
Yes, Ken. So the IGP in that statement underscored that, citing examples of the Otumfuo's mediations in the old Dagban crisis as well as the just ended mediation in the Boku crisis. He also went ahead to extol his commitment and full support to the Ghana Police Service, especially in the fight against illegal mining.
I must commend Your Majesty and highlight your role in peace building and conflict resolution, which has had a profound impact on national security. Mentioning your exceptional mediation skills, which have restored peace in numerous conflicts across our nation, compels me to describe you as the King Solomon of our time. Your wisdom, patience, and moral authority have brought calm where tension once prevailed, and unity where division once threatened our peace. Specifically, you chair the Committee of Eminent Chiefs that successfully resolved the long-standing Dagbon chieftaincy crisis, restoring peace and stability to the area. Your mediation efforts in Yendi, and more recently in the protracted Boku conflict, to mention a few, have yielded practical recommendations that continue to guide security operations.
So that's the IGP Christian Teteyonu. What did the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II say, James?
Well, the Otumfuo himself have been calling for a more deepened relationship between the, traditional leaders or culture as well as the police or security services. He believed that will instill value into the training of police to ensure that the protection of lives and maintaining law and order is deepened. He went on to charge the police through the IGP to work hard to redeem what many have described as lapsing integrity of the police as well as public trust.
I have always believed that the discipline and the values instilled during training by the police and military shapes one for a lifetime. No one who goes through the training is ever in doubt about what the uniform represents and the values they profess to uphold when they bear the coat of arms. So it is puzzling, to say the least, when Ghanaians see men in uniform act publicly in a manner which evidently compromises the integrity of the service. Sure. They provide an escape route to doubters who will argue that if the men of the disciplined service cannot maintain their values, how can they expect civil society to be able to do so? Sure. As we embark on this journey together, we will urge you, IGP, and your devoted colleagues to seriously tackle issues affecting police integrity and public trust. Sure. It may well be necessary to reinforce or upskill the values you include in your men, so they are left in no doubt. Whatever they do which compromises the integrity of the police also dishonor the uniform and the coat of arms they bear.
So that's Otumfo Osei-Tutu the second there, and made that historic visit to the Ghana Police Service earlier today here in the Greater Accra region. And tonight, the Bank of Ghana says it is working closely with the Gold Board and the Ministry of Finance to review and strengthen the domestic gold purchase program amid concerns about its long-term cost and sustainability. Speaking at the 77th Annual New Year School at the University of Ghana, the Bank of Ghana Governor Johnson Esiama said the central bank intends to convene a focused policy workshop to further examine how the program can be refined in line with global standards.
It's no longer a concept, it is operational. It is embedded within our macroeconomic framework and has reshaped how Ghana captures value from its gold resources while strengthening external barriers. The relevant question is therefore not whether gold board should exist, but how it should be governed, how it should be refined, how it should be sustained, and to do so with the national interest. As you will remember, the domestic gold purchase program was introduced at a moment of acute vulnerability. And this was when foreign exchange barriers became thin and confidence was fragile. Its purpose was clear, and this was to strengthen reserves, stabilize the currency, and create space for macroeconomic recovery by leveraging Ghana's own natural endowment.
Right, so that's the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Johnson Esiama there. That brings us to the end of Newsnight tonight. But before we go, here a few of your messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp console. Musa Abattoir in Swansea says the assault on a journalist and a civilian by the fire service personnel is unacceptable and unprofessional. A thorough investigation must be conducted and those responsible must be held accountable to deter future misconduct and protect public trust. Patrick from Ablekuma says the Mahama government should ask or task his transport minister with clear KPIs, including at least a proper railway system in the country. And this is from Nana Ekuamwa Boatin in Ablekuma. He says just this January, the government had increased water and electricity bills. Now, University of Ghana is also increasing fees. Aish Abain Papanie. And the last one is from Pitero Abubero from Tegbi, Wagana. He says, why when there is a slight change in price in fuel, drivers increase lorry fares, but when there have been reductions in fuel prices, drivers complain and shifted to spare parts dealers? Well, those are some of your messages you sent us on our WhatsApp console. Thank you very much for being a part of this show tonight. My name is